Welcome to episode 48 of Amari Purple Talk, a Prince podcast where I share my thoughts on the purple musical singularity. I'm Richard Cole, your imagination funk soloist, and let's get started. All right, so our first topic today, we will discuss the most beautiful girl in the world. The legal drama continues. And just when we thought that it couldn't get any worse, it's getting worse. All right, so earlier this week in Australia, Warner Chappell Publishing issued a lawsuit against the Prince estate for $3 million. This was an article that was shared on Facebook by Alex Cho. Lots of response from last week's episode of Amari Purple Talk regarding when or if we'll ever see the gold experience again. And in that topic, we discussed heavily the lawsuit regarding the most beautiful girl in the world. That's the song in question that's holding up any reissue of the gold experience for now. This at first was brought up in an Italian court, and in that court, the judgment was for the plaintiffs, claiming that Prince had plagiarized this song from the two songwriters in question. If you want to refer back to last week's episode and kind of play catch up where we go more into detail about that, then jump back over here. Feel free to do so. So we'll just move on. In this article that was shared, this was from the Australian Yahoo Lifestyle from yahoo.com. And I'll just read the portion that covers what's now going on in Australia. So it says, Prince's estate, headquartered at Universal Music in Sydney's let me make sure I get this name correct. Let's see. Mahulu. Okay, I hope I said it right. Any people in Sydney, please feel free to correct me on the pronunciation. But anyway, so in Sydney, for legal purposes in Australia, was hit with the lawsuit in July. Warner Chappell Music, represented by Australian law firm Mills Oakley, has asked the NSW Supreme Court to recognize 4 judgments made by appeals courts in Rome between 2008 and 2018. These decisions recognize Bergonzi and Vicino as the true authors of the song, ruling Prince plagiarized it from a track released more than 10 years earlier. So under the current lawsuit, Warner is seeking €1,924,995 from Prince's estate in damages, plus ongoing royalties from the song being played in Australia. The song is barred from many corners of the internet due to its controversial origins and had been wiped from global streaming service Spotify. And it's also not on Tidal nor any other streaming services or platforms that you may subscribe to. Okay. So, again, like I said, there was a very huge response from last week's episode regarding this particular topic. And as I was reading a lot of the various reactions from a lot of listeners, like I said, this article was then shared on one of the Facebook Prince pages that responded to the episode. So, my thought was, if anybody had seen that, I posted the photo from Spider-Man Far From Home from the end credits scene where he's basically outed by J. Jonah Jameson and is like, he's Peter Parker, Spider-Man, and he's got, he puts his hands to his head a la, Home Alone, and is like, what the Well, basically that was my reaction to it. It's one of those things, and I mean, it's not something that's limited to just black celebrities. Any celebrity, living or dead, is pretty much open to any kind and all kinds of just ridiculous and ludicrous lawsuits, within their career and say after their star has faded. And, but, when it does come, to our black entertainers, it's a thing of, when does it stop? You don't get the Beatles suit. Now, like I said, it's not limited to just race. Now, there was, at one point, a lawsuit with Led Zeppelin regarding the song Stairway to Heaven. And a lawsuit that it was kind of a close finish, but in the end, Led Zeppelin ended up winning that lawsuit. So it was proven that they did not plagiarize the song from, the people that claim they said that wrote Stairway to Heaven, or, the tune or the melody that ended up becoming Stairway to Heaven. And, we've had situations where you've had Marvin Gaye's estate sue Robin Thicke. That's kind of a different thing. And I don't know, in this case, this might be something along those lines or something similar, where this is one of these things that should have never gone to court in the first place. And, there's people that, like I said, responded to last week's episode that have heard the song in question. I've heard it. It's not Prince's song is not a note for note ripoff. There's some similarities in the hook of the song. However, to tell you the truth, when The Most Beautiful Girl in the World dropped in 93, 94, I thought that if anybody was going to sue, it would have been Charlie Rich. Because, his song, The Most Beautiful Girl in the World, it's very similar. It opens almost literally the same. So I don't know if, like what Prince did with Purple Rain, how it was similar to a Journey song that he called the members of Journey and said, hey, I got this song, it's Purple Rain, kind of influenced by what you guys did. Is it cool? And they said, yeah, by all means, yeah, that's great. You don't see Journey, you don't see headlines, members of Journey sue Prince Estate for the most beautiful, for Purple Rain. You don't see that. And two, maybe Charlie Rich got a similar call. I mean, just the way that both songs open, because it opens with, in Charlie Rich's case, it's, hey, did you happen to see The Most Beautiful Girl in the World? Where Prince's, could you be the most beautiful girl in the world? Opens pretty much the same, similar, the same. But then, Charlie Rich's song it's straight country. Prince's song, it's straight out of Motown, it's straight out of Philly. The doo-wop groups. I think a lot of people had a lot of pushback originally. There's a lot of us where it's Prince can do no wrong. And to me, I mean, it wasn't his most groundbreaking record, but what that record set out to do and accomplished was to prove to Prince that he did not need Warner Brothers help in promoting or marketing a song in order to get a top 10 hit. And it ended up being probably one of the biggest charting singles he had in a few years. So, regardless of if you like the song or don't like the song, it is a very significant piece of Prince history. This was his sonic declaration of independence with this record. And originally it was just intended to be just a standalone single, but Warner Brothers, they're in the midst of this fight. Prince is trying to get out of his Warner Brothers contract. And originally, the Come album and the Gold Experience, he wanted both of those out at the same time. Come as a Prince album, Gold Experience utilizing the symbol as his name. And Warner Brothers, I guess, like, oh, that song was a hit. Well, we got to, put that on the album so we can get some of that money. They're thinking, yeah, we'll put the Gold Experience out as long as you put that song on it. So I think reluctantly he put it into the sequencing. If you go on princevault.com and kind of read the history of this album, they also have the 3 different track sequences for the album. And there's the first one that didn't have it, and it had 2 or 3 other songs that ended up not making the final cut either. But there are 2 that did include Most Beautiful Girl in the World on it. And so with these 2 songwriters basically laying claim to any money that this song has made, again, I think it was a very gutsy, it was a very ballsy move of the estate to just remove that song from any and all available platforms. There were some reactions saying that, oh, they should just pay the money, give them the money, and the estate has lots of money, and let them just come. We just want the song, and I get that, but as I responded to a couple of people last week, just imagine this scenario. Okay, I sue any one of you. And let's just say that I sue you and I get either your house or I get your car. And now I'm living and say, it's not a house or a car that's paid for, mind you. You're still making payments. You're still making a mortgage payment. You still paying a car note. And I win one of these things in a lawsuit. So I get to live in your house. I get to drive around in your car, and you're still making payments. You still have to make payments on it. So again, I think that is a very smart business move on the part of the estate with that. But I mean, here there's a lawsuit in Italy that's been settled. Or there's been a decision. And now here's something in Australia that's being filed. I guess because it's still getting some kind of airplay in Australia. I'm not sure the total ins and outs of how that works. But this song, this Taking Me to Paradise, it is nowhere near the same class as the Most Beautiful Girl in the World. This is the most ridiculous piece of bullshit that I've ever seen in the history of music. And if this thing gains any traction in Australia, and if there is a judgment in favor of these 2 ridiculous assholes, then my apologies for every Prince fan that has absolutely adored this song, I think in this particular case, and I don't think the estate will mind in any way, shape, or form, but I would say crowd share it. You know, anybody that has a copy, by all means, share it with any fans that don't have a copy of it. I know it's going to hem up any possibility for any live performances, both sound recording and film. It would be very difficult to release any of that with that song intact. I think if it comes down to it, as we're getting all the different vault tracks over time, as we'll start to get, a lot of live performances as part of super deluxe editions, possible future standalone releases, it will be virtually impossible for a good long while to get any of that officially at this point. I think, let's take the 1995 Miami shows at the Glam Slam. If I'm not mistaken, I think there's only one concert out of the 3 that does not include that song. And if this becomes a part of some type of box set that documents that era, you would have to omit 2 of those from your DVD portion of that and just go with the one that does not have that song on it. And yeah, it'll give the collectors, the bootleggers, it'll just give them one more thing to stand on. The piracy will still be in effect for a lot of material regarding that era. You will still see the gold experience in its original form continue to sell for ridiculous sums of money, $30 to $300 and more from collectors. It's things like this that'll drive that up even higher. And if you're a collector with money to burn, more power to you. But, I remember back in the day, probably catching it on sale, heck, Street Side Records. Let's see, or where did I get that from, actually? It could have been Blockbuster Music, for all I remember. But it didn't cost me $30 to get it. I don't even think I paid $20 for it when it was originally released. I would like to have another copy, but, $30? No. It is a gold experience. It's a great album, but $30? Single CD? I don't know. Look at what we just got the Rainbow Children for. $9.99 on Amazon. So when does this stop? It's kind of like the vultures. Every time, there's somebody else, and we're not even talking the bands. We're not talking the proteges. We're not talking, it's typical infighting or typical divides amongst those segments, and that's going to be natural. Whatever era a certain protege or band member was in and they were no longer part of it, you got the newer people, that can have a general idea of basically what his last thoughts might have been. But when it comes to like these outside entities starting to swoop in like vultures, and because he's no longer here to defend himself and to come clean up, or try to get a little piece of the purple pie, this is, it's bullshit. It's like, just again, this is why we sometimes cling to that classic material, because within that classic material, does this man need to steal somebody's song? Really? You know, really? Practice? We talking practice? But I'll just end it with this. Say if one day the estate called and said, "Hey, Richard, what do you think? How do you think we should handle this? Okay, we're hemmed up with the gold experience. What should we do? You know, we can't put out most beautiful girl in the world. What should we do?" I would say from this point forward, like I said, if this gains any more traction, if this ends up in another judgment for the plaintiffs in this case, then I would say, you know what? This is Prince. He doesn't, you really don't need it. Like I said, the historical significance of that song, whew, I would say, and then for those that's like, oh, pay them something, I would say this: the only way that I would ever give up a dime in this situation, it would have to be in the context of a documentary, because you cannot have a Prince documentary and touch on his fight for independence in the record industry without that song. That would be the only time, and it would be hard. I really wouldn't do it then, but that would be the only time I would consider giving a little bit of leverage, because it's not going to be a whole lot of money, not in the same way as, you know, streaming royalties or physical media records, you know, vinyl, CD, anything of that nature. But with that aside, what I would do would be to just prove that you don't need that song anywhere else. You don't need it. Like I said, we've discussed possibilities of box sets or single CD or double CD. And just in your liner notes, acknowledge that song, its historical context, and discuss its omission and why it's omitted from whatever collection. Come out with a different track configuration of gold experience, and just do that. It's, the whole American thing of we don't negotiate with terrorists. It's kind of like along those lines. Business is sort of like that. And if you're going to play a sucker move like this, because obviously these people, I still haven't heard, like I said, I don't know how big they are in Italy. They could be the Lennon and McCartney of Italy. Somebody prove me wrong, prove that point to me first. But since I don't see any evidence of that, apparently since they can't write a hit to save their lives, and this is the only way they can come up, then, Prince musical singularity out there. If, there's somebody that used to have it that doesn't have it anymore, share that song. Or any newbies that's curious as to what's going on with that and wants to hear it, if they ask, share it with them. Let them in on it. But, it is going to be a song that's missed. And like I said, it is a very significant key piece to, Prince history there that, it is a big loss, for such a small hit song. So, but what do you guys think? Like I said, there was a lot of overwhelming response. And thank you for all the comments for and against and talking about giving them the money. I get what you're saying. And for those that's like, nope, just leave it off. I didn't like that song anyway. Put on another song, substitute it with something else. Hey, leave me your comments and let me know your thoughts. And let's go ahead and move on to our next topic. And our next topic is going to be the I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man advanced track that was just dropped last week, and it is a version, or probably the earliest version that he recorded of this song. A lot of people thought the earliest version was done in 1992, but apparently the truth is that this song came or was recorded in 1979, maybe closer to Dirty Mind era, probably, or maybe something that was in consideration for the Dirty Mind album. That I'm not sure. Also, too, it's uncertain if he did break the track back out in 1982 to try to work on it. Of course, obviously, it's not on the 1999 Super Deluxe edition, but hey, it is going to be on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe edition, and this was the second track that was dropped. And, if there was a least favorite song on Sign of the Times, now remember, Sign of the Times is my absolute favorite Prince album, and it is among the first two. If I was ever on a desert island and they said, oh, you can only take 5 albums with you, Sign of the Times would definitely be top 2 on that list. So, but if I was to have a least favorite track, it was that one. For no real reason. It doesn't resonate. Now, the live version, the one that's in the Sign of the Times movie, and the different live versions from that tour, I'm a little more excited by those versions than I ever was with the studio version of that. But it wasn't bad. I mean, to me, it's kind of McCartney-esque in a way. It's one of two songs. Like the end of Strange Relationship is very McCartney-esque to me. It sounds like something that you would have heard on a Wings album. And kind of the way that Prince kind of shifts gears with that, where it kind of just drifts off into this kind of almost like a jam session, but it just goes in a whole different direction, from the main arrangement of the song. And that was interesting to me. And I think that was the thing where within the flow of the album, I enjoyed. That's the one thing I did enjoy about that particular track, was that it shifted gears and went to another place in it. But here now we have the version from 1979, and it's very, lots of new, kind of a new wave influence. I can hear probably like maybe the Cars doing this, who else can I think of? Maybe the Pretenders or somebody. I can kind of hear them kind of doing this late 70s, very early 80s. And I enjoy this version a lot better than the actual album release of it. I mean, we always tend to think of the vault as being something where everything in it is finished. And even Prince said himself, he's like, hey, there's a lot of stuff in there that's not finished. And if you remember the sort of liner notes to Crystal Ball with the song Last Heart, and he talks about how demos are very rare for him to do. Like, a lot of songs are like, this is the song. And even if it's something that's unfinished, it's the song. The song is there. All the bones of it is right there. Every single lyric is there. It's just maybe unfinished, that maybe he wanted to add some more instruments to it, some more background vocals, or maybe he wanted to sing a vocal a different way. But this song, you can definitely tell there's little nuances in the vocals that you can tell he doesn't have all the words. He's got the song is there, the bones of the song is there, but there's a couple of words, lines that's not there yet. By the time we get to the Sign of the Times album, it's there. But here, you can kind of hear, and it's almost demo-like in that respect. And I do enjoy it on that level. So I recognize it for what it is. But it's one of those like, man, I wish he would have finished it in this version. Like this would have been a cool B-side to something on Dirty Mind, or 1999, it could have been a cool B-side to something like that, or a cool album track, a deep dive track. So, but I mean, I really love the new wave aspect of it a lot better. Just the guitars, what they're doing. It doesn't sound as country. It's a little bit more of a rocker than the version that's on the album, a little bit. But I mean, it is a track that I enjoy a lot, and I'm glad it's officially released. I don't know if a lot of people may have heard it and just thought it was from 1982. Like I probably would have had I heard it. But again, I'm glad it's part of this album. We're actually going to discuss more about the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe in a moment. But again, this particular track, again, it's on all of your streaming services. If you want to buy it as a digital download, Apple Music, when you can pre-order the album, and you can get automatically this track as well as the previous track, Witness for the Prosecution. So again, I'm very excited for this release to come out, and yeah, I can't wait to hear the rest of the tracks. But definitely, I enjoy Witness for the Prosecution a lot just because it's the official release and I get to hear everything. It's not a muddy bootleg. But this was something that I've never heard before with I Could Never Take the Place of Your Man. So, but to me, in that respect, this one is kind of my favorite of the two advanced tracks so far. And like I said, just because it has that late 70s, early 80s, that new wave, kind of before the synthesizers got really, really cheesy. You had more real drums. You had more heavier guitars throughout. Like I said, more like the Cars, kind of has that feel to it. Because that was sort of the band to beat in rock, for that particular time. So it's my favorite of the two. So I recommend you check that out. And like I said, also check out my previous episode regarding which version of the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe to get, because this is my favorite. I'm looking forward to it, and we're going to talk about it some more, because we're going to move on to our third and final topic, and we're going to talk about what's not on the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. All right, so I've probably touched on this a few times, dealing with when the track listing was leaked, when we didn't know all of the songs that were on it. Once we did get the final track listing, there's quite a few songs that were noticed that they were not part of the final cut for this release. And that's kind of what I want to focus more on, because I've been thinking about that a lot lately. In regards to, I'm still excited for this release. I mean, it's something that I've talked about, I don't know, as other artists were, and even before 2009 even, with the Beatles, their catalog was remastered properly in 2009. Since then, we've gotten major box sets from Sgt. Pepper to the White Album to Abbey Road. And there's been a lot of stuff in between, that the Beatles were kind of playing catch up. And with Led Zeppelin too. They were kind of the two holdouts. So while everybody else was coming out every 5 or 10 years, as as CD technology advanced, going from the 20-bit to the 24-bit mastering process. You would just get catalogs just reissued over and over and over. And the Beatles kind of held out, Led Zeppelin kind of held out, and now just within the last 10 to within the last 10 years or so, from both of those artists, we've gotten some really great remasters and box sets and super deluxe editions. But at the time when everybody was doing it, and kind of when you got to 2004, as you noticed, everybody was doing it. Like, Marvin Gaye was coming out with some great super deluxe stuff, where they would just deluxe editions in, meaning that you just got 2 CDs, the album, various bonus tracks, and live stuff, and unreleased stuff. But it filled a good 2 CDs worth of material. But a lot of his 70s output included a lot of that. And right around that time, as like I said, when we were all part of the NPG Music Club, that was one of the reoccurring things. It's like, okay, you're free from Warner Brothers now, but when you do, it wasn't a matter of if, but when. But at the time, he didn't have ownership of his masters. But that was something that was heavy in all the forums and the chats, where the day that he does get them back, this is what we want. We want a Sign of the Times Super Deluxe, and we want all the stuff from Camille on it, all the stuff from Dream Factory that's on it. And in a kind of very bittersweet way, we're getting that. But like I said, it's not the perfect set. And I'm sort of playing devil's advocate on this one because, like I said, I'm looking forward to this release. It's like, yeah, I'm going to, the minute I get it, I'm going to lock myself away and just start diving into the tracks, or, of course, it'll probably drop at midnight on the streaming services. I'm probably going to sneak a track or two and listen and, just get even more excited and have the stuff in my hands and reading the book and everything, So don't get me wrong, I'm heavily excited for it. But I think what we were all thinking, or a lot of us were thinking originally, was that, cool, we'll get all this 2020 remastered stuff from the vault. There'll be a remastered Rock Hard in a Funky Place. There'll be a remastered full-length version of Crystal Ball. There'll be a remastered full-length or remastered 2020 version of Good Love, and we'll have all these tracks, and we're going to have fun making these playlists, like, oh, now we can make the Camille album ourselves, haha, or let's, program Dream Factory, on the shuffle. And we're not getting that. We're getting, to me, it leans more towards Dream Factory than it does. Now, of course, in previous episodes, you've heard me speculate on the fact that once the masters reach Sony, the classic material, those masters in 2021, that give it about 5, no less than 10 years. So greater than 5, less than 10 years, you will get what you see with Bob Dylan or Miles Davis, in that you will get what will be called, probably Sign of the Times, the complete sessions. Now, again, there's no official word from Sony, no official word from the estate or Michael Howe that is definitely happening. But you can speculate that that's what will happen. That's what Sony is going to want to do when it gets hold of the classic material. Now, there's been people all over, nitpicking oh, well, Warner Brothers is these unreleased because he turned it in. And look, 2014, Prince got his master recordings back from Warner Brothers. Everything, everything. The estate has a say so on everything that's in the vault. That's what Michael Howe's job is he's the curator. He's the one that goes through all of this stuff, and he's the one that cherry picks what goes on these super deluxe versions. Whatever agreement or whatever the fine print was in that agreement with Warner Brothers, none of us outside of the estate and Warner Brothers or Sony knows what that fine print entails. But the fact that Warner Brothers is swinging for the fences because after next year, they're going to no longer have claim to it. Now, does that give them carte blanche to print more copies of Sign of the Times Deluxe Edition? Again, that's a whole nother topic for a whole nother day. But long story short, best believe in more than 5 years, but less than 10, you will see Sony release a Sign of the Times, the complete sessions, and it will probably be a massive box set, even greater than the super deluxe that we're getting now. And either one is not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. But that's what happens. I mean, it's happened to it's Miles Davis. There's been, let's see, the remaster of Kind of Blue. And there's been kind of a deluxe version of Kind of Blue. And I think I can't remember the release date, but probably again, greater than 5, less than 10, there has been a release of Kind of Blue, the complete sessions. I know for sure there's a complete set or complete sessions of Bitches Brew. I know that for a fact. So that happens, and basically what it is just recycling this stuff for the avid collector, because they know we're going to, Warner Brothers is releasing their Sign of the Times. They have to. They're swinging for the fences. This will be the last time that they will make money off of that album. The absolute last time. Because after 2021, the only Prince product they are ever going to be able to release, because movie soundtracks are a whole different thing than your standard recording contract, the only thing they'll ever get to release after 2021 will be Purple Rain. And then that will be, I would assume, you would see kind of a sharing of the labels. Warner Brothers, Sony, Prince Estate. You're going to see all those little logos on the back of the box at some point. And Michael Howe has speculated at one point that there may be, it's not definitive, but there may be an even bigger Purple Rain Deluxe set. Again, let's see, where are we at now? 2020, 2024, 94, 04, 14, 24. Okay, so about 40 years, 40th anniversary Purple Rain. You can best believe in 4 years there will be a bigger, I'm going to speculate, I would say a good 90% chance 2024 you will see a 40th anniversary Purple Rain box set, and it will be the completest for us completists, where Yeah, y'all need to ask Dwayne Tudor about that one. So definitely, yep, Purple Rain, Parade, Batman, and Graffiti Bridge. That will be the only Prince product that Warner Brothers will be able to release after 2021. Period. So back to our sign of the times and what's missing on it. There's no joy and repetition. There's no good love. There's no long version of Crystal Ball. And there is an interview with Michael Howe that's on superdeluxeedition.com discussing the Sound of the Times Super Deluxe. And the thing that I want to focus on is the question where the interviewer is saying, was there any serious consideration given to trying to recreate those 3 unreleased albums on CD on separate discs as part of this set, or was that dismissed due to repetition? And Michael Howe's answer is yes, primarily due to repetition, but also because the beauty of the streaming world allows you to do that yourself. So from a standpoint of trying to be as comprehensive but not repetitive as possible, we decided to include all the tracks that are otherwise unavailable. You know, there's not a dedicated Camille album in this larger body of work. It seems like it would be redundant to do that. Okay, so my take on this is that, yes, he has to say that. This is coming out on Warner Brothers. Now, the tracks that are, well, with the single exception of Joy and Repetition, which is on Graffiti Bridge, which Warner Brothers will continue to own. However, the other songs, well, Good Love is also, that is on the Bright Lights Big City soundtrack, so there may be some hang up with that particular track as well, that version of it. You may have to go with the Crystal Ball version of that unless they find an alternate mix somewhere, or if you can somehow remix the 2 somehow, or come up with a completely different mix altogether for it. But the majority of stuff that's left off, there's no Black album as far as I know. Let me go on to my Tidal account here. And while I'm looking for that, yeah, there's no, a lot of the tracks, the Black album, you know, Rock Hard in a Funky Place, which is one. I mean, we're getting Shockadelica as part of this. Feel You Up is a track that's missing, both the short and the long version of it. And, you know, I like the long version of it. That's my favorite for sure. All right, so I'm going through my Tidal account here. I'm scrolling, and nope, no Black album to be found. Now, of course, if you have all the CDs, you get this super deluxe edition, and you rip everything from the CD, you can kind of make your own versions from there. Now, of course, the appeal to this set is going to be that everything is remastered. So, you have to, if you do rip, and a lot of people that have done it and have tried to compile their own, I know I've got my own Crystal Ball and Camille, and, the sound quality differs. And especially with the stuff that made the cut for Sign of the Times. The sound quality is just really bad. So the appeal, and this is for me, I'm excited for all the vault tracks, but I am more excited about this release for getting a remastered version of the original album. That is the highlight for me, more so than the vault tracks. And I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm excited for the vault tracks, even though there's some stuff that's missing from it. There's enough, it's 63 unreleased tracks, so how can you, there's nothing to get pissed about. It's like, darn it, I'm not going to be one of those, graduating repetition should have been on it, and oh boy, and Good Love should have been on it. I'm not even going to go there. Like I said, just kind of making a point for a topic and speculate on yes, you will see those tracks turn up on the Sign of the Times complete sessions, but it's not going to be released by Warner Brothers. And that's the whole point. He has to say this because they're selling Warner Brothers product right now. Once all this stuff transfers over to Sony, oh yeah, you best believe that when that Sign of the Times complete session set comes out, oh yeah, you best believe that Super Deluxe Edition or whoever decides to interview Michael Howe at that particular time, oh yeah, he's going to be definitely, proud of the fact that, well, this version of Joy and Repetition is the original version that doesn't have the outro to We Can Funk on it. And you can best believe that's what's going to happen. You can believe that. Or, we did some real negotiating with Warner Brothers, and it's like, well, we couldn't get the version of Good Love that's on Bright Lights Big City. So what we didn't want to go with the mix that was part of the Crystal Ball 1998 set. So we just remixed Good Love and put it on there. And then there's Rock Hard in a Funky Place, which is on there as well. And trust me, there won't be any talk about repetition because, again, like I said, there's a remastered version of Miles Davis's Bitches Brew. There's a deluxe version of Bitches Brew. And there is the complete sessions, which has, 10 discs to it or something. And, there's a complete set of Miles Davis, John Coltrane sessions together. Some of that stuff is on Kind of Blue and about 2 or 3 other albums. So, I don't buy that at all about, there's too much repetition. No, it's just that they have to do this because it's a Warner Brothers product. And, again, because we want it. And because, and especially now, with everything going on, they had to swing for the fences for this. They had to. Again, it's good business sense or it's good money sense. So we'll definitely see it happen. Again, like I said, maybe more than 5, less than 10 years. Sign of the Times, the complete sessions. And it'll be on Sony. And like I said, it makes sense because Warner Brothers, it would have been cool if they had dropped a Parade box set right now, but like I said, this is their last chance at having Prince product. Given the short time frame that they've had since the estate made the deal with Sony, Warner Brothers has done a phenomenal job. It was like, let's drop this Originals album. Let's swing for the fences with the 1999 Super Deluxe. Even though that's 2 songs short. But again, I think, I don't know about that one though. I think, you might get a sort of redo of that. I don't think it would be anytime soon. Like I said, I think to me, Sony will concentrate on original compilations that focus on other eras. Like I said, they, to me, one of the first things should definitely be coming out with something from the 93 to 95 era, that will totally replace Gold Experience. I think they should focus on that era and, maybe a standalone compilation of unreleased stuff, maybe like his last album. We'll discuss that another time too. I discussed it a few months ago, but we'll revisit that topic at some point. But I think really focus on addressing that era and just really, to me, and like I said, they're probably glad that I'm not running things, because I would just play hardball with it and just say, oh yeah, well, you think you gonna make some money off Most Beautiful Girl in the World? And think again, look at what we're coming out with. Boom, compilation, every song from that era but that. And we're gonna mention why it's not on there too. So there's that. Again, like I said, maybe 2024 40th anniversary Purple Rain, probably maybe see a big huge complete sessions for that. And then maybe after that, probably Sign of the Times. I think 1999 will be a lot further along in that, because this is a pretty good version. Like I said, it's missing 2 key songs, but I think after maybe 5 or 10 years, maybe a little bit greater than 10 on that one, we'll see a complete sessions for 1999 at some point. But like I said, again, I am very excited for this Sign of the Times Super Deluxe. Mainly number one, because of the remastered album itself. Because I think that will take me places even beyond the vinyl or even the cassette. Like I said, your best listening experience until we get this will be the vinyl, whether it's the original vinyl or the 2015 pressing of the vinyl or the original cassette. So definitely looking forward to a remastered version of the original album. And yeah, I'm definitely excited for some of the, a lot of the unreleased tracks that are on it. Some of it I've never heard before. Some of it I have, and it'll be great to hear it in pristine quality and clear and officially released. And, the estate will get the money, and hopefully it gets to a point the family will get that money in their hands too. So, let's keep supporting these projects as they come out. A lot of it, and again, a lot of you guys, well, I've got it already. Well, good. But the rest of us are sort of completists. And it's like, yeah, regardless of what bootleg or what quality, it's nice just to have something official and it sounds good and there's a good book, good liner notes to read with it. That's what a lot of us are all about. We are serious record collectors, folks. So again, what do you guys think? Do you think that what's missing from the Sign of the Times Super Deluxe set, does it kind of lessen your excitement, or does it matter one way or the other? Leave me a comment and let me know your thoughts. And that is going to end this episode of Amari Purple Talk. It has been a very interesting week. So it took a lot to put this particular episode together, and especially events from Friday, which, really kind of set me off in another direction. But, quite a few things looking forward to, too. I know I put up a tweet about the gist of it, and it was just kind of like, let me focus on this episode. Let me focus on some personal projects. And I'll just say this before I sign off, is that there is definitely a lot going on in this world. And as Prince used to say, Don't give in to entropy. And, stay with your spiritual center. Because, there's a lot. Like I said, there's racism and hatred that is a disease, and it's a cancer that it needs to be addressed. It needs to be dealt with. It needs to be cured and eradicated off the face of the earth. There's no gray areas. There's no political affiliations with this. There's no class systems or even caste systems associated with. Hatred is just wrong, period. Period. And for all of its byproducts, which is systemic, or whether you just don't know, or whether you're just so blinded by whatever, history or Hollywood movies or whatever you're blinded by or conditioned to believe. Again, there's no middle ground, and there's no way that this, that hatred and racism comes out on top. There's no justification for it. And just understand oppression. There's people all over the world, various cultures, that are facing all types of oppression. There's other cultures with caste systems, which is sometimes even worse than what goes on over here. And this is pretty jacked up. So, let's start the wheels of healing with this. And like I said, get it off the face of the earth, because we don't need it. And in addition to that, we're still in the middle of a pandemic. And again, there's no room for political ideologies. So because one side, or what you think the other side's doing, it's all irrelevant. It doesn't care what color you are. It doesn't care what your political affiliation is. And regardless of what conspiracy theories you subscribe to, this is something in this particular time, regardless of whatever, it's easy to point fingers, if there's a war going on in whatever country and whatever it's easy to go, oh, like they made that up to go to war and just take oil. It's easy to go with that one. But this is something different because it affects people all over the world. And, there are countries that have basically flattened this curve out. While over here, nobody knows what's going on. And, like I said, at one point, that curve was flattened. But again, like I always point out, it's like for at the beginning, everybody was in this sort of kumbaya moment. It was like, be safe, wear your mask. Oh, you got your mask? You cool? Yeah, be safe out there. And when not a lot of us had access to masks, really. But like I said, from my point of view, the minute it started being broadcast that, oh, people of color are more disposed to catch this thing. Oh, it seemed like literally overnight. We want to go back to work. We want to reopen. Well, these are the effects of things reopening too soon, folks. And these companies, corporations, whatever, they do not have your best interests at heart. The ones that are, where, even though masks are mandated, you have people that are so lackadaisical about it that they're not taking the time to enforce it. And, or even employ, just like, oh, you felt this way, just come on into work anyway. There's this type of mentality that's going on. And, it has really just gotten it, like I said, Friday, it was hard enough to think. And put it this way. Put it this way. That's what I say. Had to focus on this episode and focus on some other, Amari Communications, Amari Enterprises business, because it's gotten out of hand. It's just ridiculous. So we'll end with this. Vitamin Up, get you 4,000 IUs of vitamin D into your systems. Take your vitamin C, whatever other vitamins you need, whatever you're lacking. Do get some sun whenever you can. Be active, boost that immune system, because nobody talks about that part of it. It's like, oh, let's get you hooked up on a vaccine or something, but you can protect yourself too, because nobody's going to care about you but you. So definitely do those things. Definitely wear a mask. It's now mandatory in a lot of places. And, for these people that are junked up and hyped up on, whatever they're hyped up and junked up on about freedom and this and that, you got a driver's license. They got you. You got a social security number. They got you. You got a birth certificate. They got you. There's nothing they need to do to trick you to do anything or whatever. But by the same token, this is something that nobody has a real, legitimate, straight answer for. Period. So whether you believe it's a hoax, whether you believe it's this or that or whatever, no. Cover all your bases, because this is something that nobody has a straight answer for. And you're not going to get it from one party or the next. You're just not. And waiting for them to have an answer is just going to put you in a world of something else that you probably just don't want to deal with. So, think for yourself. Get as much information as you possibly can. Start putting two and two together. But at the same time, like I said, take care of yourself and have some respect for other people. If you're going to a place, wear a mask. If you working somewhere, if you sick, stay the fuck at home. Yeah, I feel a certain way about this, folks, and I know we're all feeling it, but, like I said, this world ain't playing. So you just have to, like I said, think for yourself, get the information yourself, read in between these lines, and start asking some real questions. Start putting two and two together. So with that, again, thanks for tuning in. You can always catch me on Twitter at RichardCole_now, on Instagram at RichardCole_Amari. Also follow my website, Amari Communications. That's AmariCommunications.com. By all means, check that out. Get some Amari merchandise. Help get me off this plantation, folks, because, brother, we tired, y'all. We tired. So, by all means, support that. Get a Amari Purple Talk t-shirt, coffee mugs. There's other cool Amari merchandise. There's the We Funk t-shirts. Definitely get one of those too. Lots of other cool things on there, so definitely check it out. Also check out my What's in the Crate article on WordPress. Spotlight a different piece of vinyl from my album collection. New articles are coming soon. I promise. There's just been way too many distractions lately. But a couple of positive distractions as well. So one thing, there'll be a 3121 Twitter thread. I will be participating in that, so definitely check that out. That'll be, my segment will be August 10th. So I'll give you more details soon, probably by next episode. Definitely check that out as well. And as always, keep it purple and on the one.